Hello, Thomas. You ready to head back to Ireland, then to New York, and then back to Ireland?
Seems like a nice trip.
22-1, Tom. So you're back to 22-1, Tom. Is it just normal winner in there, or no winners in there? What's happening, Tom?
Actually, had an 80-1 winner the other day, so that helped the bankroll. But no, I mean, it's been weird lately for me. I've been picking horses, but I can't get them in the right order. So I have a ticket with all. I got the first three correct, but I don't have them in the right order.
So, yeah, it's never fun.
It's been a little. Well, fortunately, I box, so the exacta wise, I've been picking up a few bucks, but it would be nice to have a little more on top correct than running second and third. But then I shouldn't complain. One was 28-1 that ran second, and so I'm not. Those you can't really complain about.
Do you see anything like that on your picks this weekend at Curragh and Saratoga and back to Curragh?
Not really. I couldn't. The one race at the Saratoga, I think, is because all six of them are competitive. I mean, there isn't really. It's throwing a dart because they're all, and some of them are going to be very low odds. It's just a matter of what gets played. You figure Beaker Street is going to be heavily played,
probably.
But you can make a case for all five of them, any five of them. Besides Beaker Street, that's a tough. I mean, it's only six horses, but you got three that want to set the pace, and you got three that'll set off the pace. And the range of pricing on those horses, none of them are cheap to begin with, but you go from 3.3 million to homebred, and but I mean that's quite a field.
Yeah, it is an excellent field, but we're going to get to that in between. So we're going to start off at the Curragh on Saturday, and it is the Switchblade knife, as I had mentioned. It's the Swiss Army knife of horse tracks. You have blades that can go in any different direction. And the Curragh, Thomas, it's supposed to be good. So the footing should be all right, both on Saturday and Sunday. I didn't see any change to that. Did you see any change to the weather at all?
No. That was my understanding. It'd be good and good to firm in places. So they don't do firm so much as listing, but they haven't had a lot of rain there. But they are watering the course. So it looks like it'll be be a fair surface. Let's put it that way.
That's all you can ask for, right? So the first race we're going to do is 6 furlongs. So it's going to start back here. There is a slight rise.
It's 5 furlongs.
Which race is this? Race number?
The Barberstown, the Group 2.
Oh, race number 4. Yes, I got the wrong one in there. Yes, you're right. So I have it. Race number 4. 5 furlongs.
Sapphire.
Forgive me. Sapphire Stakes. It's going to start here, and then it's going to come down, slight rise, slight fall, level, and then slight rise to the finish line. This race is supposed to start at about 10 Eastern time. Thomas, all right, so 5 furlongs. When I look at the pace of this race, it looks pretty even to me. I pick out 2 front runners, a couple that want to pressure, and then most of the others that can either pressure or close, and then just one straight closer in this field. How do you see him playing out?
Yeah, I think there'll be about 4 up front, with the rest of them trying to figure out where they're just setting back, get maybe a little drafting going on, and wouldn't be surprised if one pulls out and gets the jump on them and wins.
All right, so who do you think is going to pull out, get the jump on them, and win?
I took number 2, Monesta is my top choice. It has 18 starts. And it's won 3 races, and all its wins are at 5 furlongs. But 10 times it's been in the money. So it's one of those horses that tries and certainly pays the bill. Last out, it was a good 4th at Royal Ascot against Behind Nature Strip. I I just think it had a little bit of traffic problems, but it's hard not to. Some of those races at in Royal Ascot. But I think the fourth was still good. Race back and move forward, and then it was okay. Won a Group 2 last year. I think it's placed correctly here. If it improves off that Royal Ascot run, it should be really the one to beat. And number 7 is my next choice. It's Bro Iska. I don't know.
Good enough.
My wife said I should stop picking horses that you can't pronounce the name.
Sometimes the misses are right?
Yeah. And 9 starts, has 3 wins, 2 seconds, and 1/3. So it's done very well for its career. It won last time out at Chantilly in a Group 2 over soft going at 5 furlongs. Prior to that, it was won a race at Nantes. It was listed also at 5 furlongs. The thing with this horse is interesting is it took 6 starts to break maiden, and it did it on the all weather. But its 3 races this year have been really good, and so this is definitely a horse on the upswing. And it's going to be competitive here. There's no question, and it tends to be a stalker. So I think it'll set up nicely if this horse can come on. I still like my top horse better than this one, but it'll be an interesting between these two. Number 4, Castle Star is my final choice. 7 starts, has 2 wins in 4 seconds. It hasn't raced since September. It was in a Group 1 at Newmarket, and it finished second to Perfect Power. Pretty good horse. But all its races prior to this were at the Curragh, and the worst finish was 4th. So he's won at 5, he's won at 6, he's won a Group 3 company. He broke his maiden in a listed race. So, he is one of those horses that breaks slowly. So don't be surprised if he's a step or 2 behind everybody. But I think it's an interesting place to start him for the season, and the question will just be fitness. But I'm going to give it a chance and maybe a little bit of a price.
All right. I'm going to start off with number 8. I'm going to go with the price here, Thomas, right off the get-go. Geocentric. This is a horse, when I look at its good runs, they've been pretty solid on the good surface. When I look at the horse's record at the distance, 5 times out, 2 wins, a second, 2/3. That's doable by my measure. As far as the turf is concerned, 7 times out, 2 wins, 3/3, and 2 seconds. 100% of the money in the turf, 100% of the money at the distance. Again, by my standards, those are pretty good numbers. And it looks to me like this is a horse that's in good form. If you look at the times, too, they're very competitive in here. I'm going to go with number 7 as my second choice. Brostay. I guess that's about right. We'll find out. Maybe I should ask people around me if I should pick horses that I can't pronounce. But this one's got 2 wins in a row. Looks to me like this is great form. 2 races back, ran 5 furlongs in 57 and 3. That was called Naz? Is that about right? Is that how I pronounce that, Tom?
Naz, yeah.
Naz. And well, that's the Chicago pronunciation. Naz. But that horse, if that runs 57 and 1 again, 57 and 3 again, could well be the winner. My third choice is number 4. That is Castle Star. This one, I think early on looked like it might be one of the favorites in this race, Castle Star. It looks like the odds are maybe drifting a little bit higher on it. Hasn't run in a bit. Coming off the bench, though, it's had a couple of races off the bench in a 7 career start. One was its debut, ran second by a head at Curragh. Last time out at Newmarket, finished second by a half length. So looks like a horse that can contend with a little bit of time off. At the Curragh 5 times, 2 wins, 2 seconds. You got to appreciate that. At the distance, 2 times out, 1 win, 1 second. Got to appreciate that. And then finally, your first pick is my 4th pick, Muniesta, the 2-horse, Thomas. It's a horse to me that looks like it wants to run against some good company last time out in a Group 1 at Royal Ascot. But when I look back at its good record, it just doesn't seem to find the winner's circle in the good record. Competitive race, just not a win. And that's what we're trying to find, winners. Next spot on the card, Thomas, is the next race up is it's the next race, right? Race number 5 is it? The Juddmonte Irish Oaks. And this race, Juddmonte, I'll pronounce it again. I'll check around the house. This one is 1 mile.
Well, that's a pretty big operation, so that's the only reason I know that's correct.
Yeah, I'm just
they produce more than a few winners.
So this one's a mile and a half, so a mile and 4 furlongs. A mile and 4 furlongs. They're going to start back here. They're going to start with some undulations, then go fairly level. Then they're going to go onto the Derby course, uphill, downhill, make a turn to the right. So with this starting position, Tom, from your experience watching the Curragh races, where do you want your horse to be?
I want mine with cover or sitting like too wide, but nothing beyond that. I don't think the rail is the best place to be, but occasionally I see them come up the rail and they do okay. Most of the time it's that they want to be a little out, and the most favorable running seems to be maybe in the second path or the third path in these kinds of races.
And this one's going to start at 10:45 a.m. Eastern, so we'll be leading right into the Saratoga races, which we'll get to in a minute. So, all right, Thomas, the Irish Derby, I'm certain Irish Oaks. There you go. I messed that up. So the Irish Oaks.
Irish Derby was
change that in the descriptions, but I guess I can pronounce Oaks. I just have to make sure I put the right word in there. But go ahead. Who do you like in the Irish Oaks?
Well, that's life, right? Nice Group 1, interesting field. I went with the favorite Emily Upjohn as my top choice, number 3.
I think that one scratched actually, Thomas.
Oh, they took it out. Okay.
Yes, it was a non-runner, so it's not in the race.
Okay, so they did scratch it. That's rather interesting. Okay, I did not realize that. I must have missed that.
Yeah, I think it was this like right before we came on, because when I first popped up the stuff on Racing Post, it was in there, and then when I opened up the sheets to look at like the past performances, it had said non-runner in there. So I think it was
kind of surprising, but there must be something wrong.
Better they scratch it now than it scratches it in the mid-race.
Well, but this turn makes this race a whole different race, in my opinion, because with that scratch, that was your overwhelming favorite, 2 to 5 type of horse, price-wise. But now it really changes it, and with that, I'm going to take number 6, Magic Lagoon, as my choice as one of the outside draws here. In one of his last races, it was a Group 2 at Ascot. It made most of the running. It was headed and then came on again. I was impressed by that race, to be honest with you. Second, in the previous start, it was second. It was in a listed race at Navan and lost to Concert Hall, who ran at Belmont last Saturday and finished third, I think. And really, its race that had failed badly was the last start last year at Newmarket. It was a Group 1. It just did not run at all. But it won at the Curragh in a Group 3. This is one I really think is going to set the pace, and they're going to have to come after her, because if she's got anything left at the end after that mile, she's going to hold, and she's already proven that she can get headed and still come on. And that is always an impressive feature in my mind with any horse in any race. Number 2, Emily Dickinson, is my next choice as draw 2. Ran second in Group 3 at 14 furlongs. It sat mid-pack and really just missed by a head. It took 3 starts to break maiden, but then it's been improved. The only one that I really thought was disappointing was the Epsom Prep, which was at Lingfield. They obviously were thinking of the Epsom Oaks for this horse, and then decided that was not a great race. Let's go to Leopardstown and try that race, and that worked out much better. And I think she's building off that race and really will be coming at the end.
That's it.
That's it, because my other one was scratched.
Yeah, you had that scratch in there. Yeah, well, that's understandable. So I am going to start this race with number 1. Curragh di Godio. Curragh di Godio. 6-1 right now. It looks like are the best odds that you can get on this horse. And the last 2 races, 1.5 miles, 1 5/8 miles. This, as I mentioned, is 1.5 miles. Both were wins. Horse looks like to be in peak form, so we know that the distance is not a problem. Both of those races were on a good surface, so we know that the good surface is not a problem. We know that the horse has run at the Curragh a couple of times, has 1 win in that mix. Just looks to me like a horse that's in really good form right now. Magical Lagoon, this one's going to be, I think, your prohibitive favorite now with the 3 scratched. Right now, it looks like the odds are a little bit better than 1-1. Magical Lagoon really hasn't done much wrong in the last couple of races. A win, second by a head. Again, one that's performed fairly well on a good surface. 3 times out, it has a win, the second by a head. Those are the last 2. And the previous time it ran on a good surface, it had a win by 3/4. So did pretty well in the last 3 times. The footing will be like it'll experience on Saturday. Next up for me is number 8, Toy. And what's interesting to me about Toy, Thomas, is Ryan Moore is on Toy for this race. And if you look at the last couple of races, you think to yourself, oh my Lord, 12 by 9.5, 11 by 4.5. But he was also riding another horse in a couple times back. He rode History, which he got off that horse to ride the one that did pretty horribly. So it makes me wonder, there must be something about that last couple of races where Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien feel like this horse is ready to improve. And then I am going to go with History just in case Ryan Moore made a mistake. So I'm going to go 1, 6, 8, and 5 for that race.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it.
Hey, you never know. I mean, they're just like us. They can make mistakes too, right, Thomas?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. There are many jockeys who would like to have that decision back for horses that they got beat by.
And ones that they jumped off of that beat them.
Yeah, they jumped off of thinking they were on the better horse, and turns out, nope, they weren't.
Maybe not so much. So I don't know who's been perfect for us in a sense, Tom. Is we started working with picks with the professor. He's an actual statistics professor. Does baseball, college basketball, college football, and right now they're in the height of Major League Baseball. And so far, we've had 4 picks. The first one won with Tampa Bay. Second one got rained out. The third one was a push. Yesterday's pick was a win. So the professor is 2-0-1 and a washout. Today, that's the wrong button. Today, the professor, if you do Major League Baseball, today he's going to try to keep the totals rolling. He's going to go with the Reds in the Cardinals. They're going to go over 9, he says, and that's a plus total. So you're going to get 105. So it's actually a little bit of an underdog play. There is a description for the play of the day in our YouTube description as well as our Facebook. And there's also a link to his YouTube channel. So you want to make sure you get all of today's picks, all the Saturday's picks. I did think he did say he might miss the weekend. He's got some crazy travel plans. But if you go over to his website, here on the play of the day, which again, there's a link in the description, you'll find his play of the day every day in the event you like to put a little bit of money on Major League Baseball. Tom, have you ever done that? You're a big baseball fan, though, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I definitely like baseball, and but I stick with the horses. They aggravate me enough. I don't need to watch.
You don't need humans aggravating you, right?
Yeah. Sweaty horses is one thing. Sweaty men and women. I think I'll stick with the horses.
Yeah, the last thing you want is you're at the game, your Brewers, your beloved Brewers. They're up 3. You got a few bucks on them. The closer comes in and blows it. And not only did your team lose, but you lost money and you're going to go home doubly mad. So
my favorite is English Premier League, where you can place a wager when you walk into the place and then watch the game and then collect if you did okay and go home miserable if you didn't.
Yes, then you can go do like the hooliganism. Just kidding, of course, English. We love you.
Yeah, they're not so bad.
No, they're not so bad. Well, after
not
they had
lately.
After we separated, we became to love them again. All right, just like brothers. That's what it is, right? Brothers fight. That's what they do. All right, so we're going to head over to Saratoga now. This is going to be the Diane Stakes we talked a little bit about in the beginning. And you had mentioned this is a 6-horse field, Tom, where any horse can win. I looked at the pace setup for the Diana Stakes, Grade 1. They're going to run a mile? Mile and an eighth.
Mile and an eighth on the inner turf.
So when you look at the pace setup for the Diana, it looks to me like you have 4 horses in here that can either press the lead or want to be on the lead. I listed them as EP. And then I have 2 closers, and the 2 closers being Bleecker Street and Rozier. You agree with that?
Well, I went 3 and 3. I thought there was 3 that really want to be right up on top or with the leaders. And then I thought there was 3 that were, one would lay off a little bit, and then the rest and the other 2 were just closers.
So the one that you left, the one we differ on is probably Creative Flair, then I would guess.
Yes, that was. I thought it would be back, and based on some of its races, I think that's where it likes to sit.
And when you're looking at I kind of agree with you on that. But when I look back at it, it looked to me like when you read the comments when it won, it was really forwardly placed.
Yeah, but still, with what's in this race and 3 of them really wanting to be on top, I think the better position is tucked in behind.
Mm-hmm.
And based on the inner turf, I mean, the good thing is this horse has been over the Saratoga track, so it's not there's they already know that the horse can handle the turns. That clubhouse turn can be a little sharp. You got to get you can get fanned out if you don't hit it correctly. But the advantage here, of course, is this small field, relatively speaking, or it's the Chad Brown edition of the Diana, depending on your point of view. But last year, he got pretty beat up in this race. So.
Yeah. Otherwise, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 horses in this field. Wow. Ooh. So you got to think. Man, that's interesting because he's got most of the speed horses in here too, which is interesting to me. Well, he's got 2 speed horses and 2 closers. So who do you think he's setting the race up for?
Well, I think it's Bleecker Street. Personally, I just think being 7 for 7, kind of hard to argue. But I did go against that one only because I think the odds are going to be pretty short. Not that I don't think they're short. I mean, on most of these horses, frankly, I don't see any really big long shots in this race.
Well, I think Delica's odds are probably likely to go higher than 15 to 1 because they can't bet on all of them.
No. But I really don't. I don't see any double-digit odds on any of these horses. I mean, maybe 6 to 1, 7 to 1. The rest of them are going to be 7 to 2, 9 to 2, that kind of range.
With Bleecker Street being what, 4 to 5, 3 to 5? Where do you see that?
I think even money.
Even money?
Yeah, I think that was where I projected it to be. But with that, I took Creative Flair as my top choice. Winner Dubai last out in a Group 2. Is a $1.6 million race, so a few bucks. Beat a decent field. She likes layoffs because she's won before off layoffs. At this distance, she's got a win and a third. To me, she's a more of a speed pace horse is the way I kind of look at her. And I really think they prepared her with this race in mind. And Charlie Appleby did well last year because he had the first 2 finishers in the race. And I can't see why he wouldn't have a good chance again. I took 1 technical analyst is my second choice. You want speed. This is this wire to wire last out. The key will be really for it to establish that front end, and I think it's got the jockey to do it. And I think the rail does not hurt her at all because of the kind of running style that she does. And let's face it, she's won last 5 races. She's won 3 of them. She's placed in the other 2. She's not they've not dodged any company. They've run against the best stuff, and if she can wire this field, I would not be hugely surprised. And I think it's just a matter of where Jose Ortiz puts this horse early, and I think it can get the position. Remember, we got a decent run into the first turn, so there'll be some on the outside that'll be trying to move up on him on this one. But I think this one is going to be on the lead when we hit that turn.
Mm-hmm.
I did take 3 Bleecker Street as my final choice. Done nothing wrong. I mean, let's face it, 7 for 7. I kind of wonder about this horse initially because they ran it in Tampa twice, and I'm like, okay, why are you? This you would think this is a really good horse, even with her earlier races, and then they put her in Tampa. It's almost like that was a confidence builder. Put her in places where you got a really good chance. Obviously, big favorite, and proved easily the best in those races. I mean, she's finally got a Group 1 winner last out, beat a decent field there, and again, I can make a case for Roger. I can make a case for In Italian. There's none of these horses you can say, they really suck and they're not going to run.
They don't have a shot.
Yeah, I really can't do that. I mean, so that's why I just sort of took the old dartboard and threw it up and decided that Creative Flair is being targeted for this race, and if she can get it done, she gets it done.
See, I think when I look at the pace setup in here, Tom, I do think that maybe Creative Flair doesn't get the lead. I don't think she has the pop to get in front of Technical Analysis or In Italian. So I think what you're going to see here is, or the Delca, what I think you're going to see is a lot of pace. Like you mentioned, I think In Italian's going to have to go because it wants to. The In Italian Technical Analysis, they want the lead. Those two guys are going to go flying up on the front end, I feel like. The 6 being on the outside, the 5's got a little bit of early pace. The 2's got some pace, so it's got to clear. So I think there's going to be plenty of pace in here to chase down. So I wanted to do like you and go against Bleecker Street because I do feel like it's going to be, I think even money would be a bonus almost for folks because I do feel like the pace setup is great for Bleecker Street. So if you got 4 horses, you want to get to the lead, or maybe 3, and then Creative Flair chasing to keep pace, it's just going to – I got a feeling the fractions are going to be pretty fast. It's going to open the door for a closer, and the Bleecker Street's going to come flying right in there and fill that void. Technical Analysis is of the speed horses what I deem the speed of the speed because it can get out and it has enough late kick. It has enough 6 furlong pace. It has enough furlong pace, 4 furlong pace. It has enough late pace that I feel like it's just going to be the one of the speed horses. If you look too like at In Italian, Creative Flair, but I think Creative Flair has a little bit of late legs too. But I feel like of the faster horses, this is the one that's going to fade the least. So it'll be competing for that wire-to-wire win, get clipped at the end by Bleecker Street. And I do feel like the rest of them, Tom, are all pretty much the same. You can go with Roger. It's another strong closer. But I'm going to give Creative Flair a little bit of the edge there too because I do feel of all of the other horses, it's going to be the one that offers you the best price. So I'm going to go Bleecker Street, Technical Analysis, and Creative Flair in the Diana Stakes on Saturday in race number 8 at Saratoga. Was it race 8 or race 5? Race 8. I don't know why I have 5 here. Yes. No, it's 8. Excuse me.
But I thought the interesting choice of bringing Jamie Spencer over to ride Creative Flair was interesting too. He's considered to be a very excellent hands rider of horses. That he's got and he knows how to coax to get the most out of them. And I thought that was a good choice for this horse.
Yeah, I feel like the 4 horses are going to be the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4. I feel like that's going to be your superfecta right there. If there's 6 horses, there'll be a superfecta bet. Just looking at it in Italian, it tends to fade. Getting extra distance today, it's going to have to really sprint to get to the lead from the outside to clear the 1, to clear the 2, to clear the 5. I feel like those fractions are going to be too sharp. If it doesn't get the lead, it gets discouraged. So going longer, needs the lead, gonna fade. Maybe the Delica can perform in here, but I just feel like that one's overmatched by the 4 on top of it. So technical analysis, creative flair, Bleecker Street are my top 3, but I wouldn't be surprised if at the end Roger and Bleecker Street are battling it out at the very wire to see who wins. It's going to be a fun race to watch. So, and also tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern, our Chris P. and Eddie C. PNC show, they'll be talking about some of these Saratoga races in their spot places. There's another stakes race there, so you're going to want to check that out. They absolutely love the Saratoga course. I think they're both on site, so you might get some on-track insights along with Chris's technical insights with the numbers and his bubble charts, and Eddie C's handicapping angles. Knows the track very well. So make sure you tune in for that 9 a.m. on Saturday. Spot plays with Eddie P. Eddie C. Chris P. I don't know. I always transpose their names, Thomas. Their last initials. Maybe Eddie sounds like it should go with
You're good at doing that. I mean, and consistent too. I mean, but on the other hand, we know who you're talking about, and their insight is very valuable, especially when you're just targeting specific races.
Mm-hmm. They nailed those 2 races yesterday pretty well at Saratoga when they did that little impromptu show. All right, so back to the Curragh for Sunday racing, Thomas. First race on the card for Sunday that we're going to cover is race number 2. I guess from what I read, track is still supposed to be pretty good. I don't think they're expecting any rain in there. As you mentioned, they're watering it. Race number 2 is the Romanised Minstrel Stakes, Group 2 for 3-year-olds old and up. 7 furlongs, so I'm going to start all the way back in here. Going to run all the way down to there. Post time is going to be 9:10 a.m. Eastern Sunday. So when you're eating your McDonald's breakfast, your biscuit, sausage, and egg and cheese, you'll be able to watch a little bit of English racing, Irish racing. Oh, my Lord. It's tough getting old. Mick Jagger was right. What a drag it is getting old, my friend. All right. So after screwing all of that up, hopefully we get the picks right, Tom. Who are you going to start with?
Yeah, I'm going to start with number 5, Pearls Galore. My top choice was draw 6. 14 starts, 6 wins, 3 seconds, and 1/3. That's won its last 2 races. They were at a mile in Ireland, at the Curragh and at Leopardstown. These races were Group 2. She faced fillies in one race, and she faced Open Company in the other one. I mean, she ran a good race in the Breeders' Cup mile behind Space Blues with getting a 6th. She was a bit coming on in the end. And prior to that race, she raced in Perry Longchamp and finished second to Space Blues at 7 furlongs.
And that was too.
One race. And let's face it, Space Blues is a good horse. But she's done nothing wrong this year. And I really think she's on a roll. And the one to beat here. I took 6. Dr. Zeph is my next choice. We draw 2. 7 starts, 3 wins, 1 second. It's won. It has 2 starts at 7 furlongs. It's run them both, and they were both at Leopardstown. It just he seems to be like that this distance, and when he's been at the Curragh, it didn't go so well. I got a 5th in a mile, but I don't know if the mile races what I would say his distance, and I would toss it. So he'll be right up at the front, and he's leaders, or he could be their front runner. I took 1, Otter of Australia, as my final choice. 3rd against Baid at the mile in the Group 1 at Royal Ascot. Well, he's considered to be the best miler in the world. He's also considered to be one of the best, probably the best horses on the planet right now. I can't really argue against that. He may have been beaten by 5 3/4 lengths, but it was really a good start, a good effort for his first start. Because prior to that, in October, he went to Keeneland. He finished 12th out of, and that was just because prior to that he'd raced it in Group 1 at Perry Longchamp and lost 2 by. He only won runs at 7 furlongs, and he won that race. It was a Group 2 at the Curragh. Something I want to note with this, which one of the observers, commentators mentioned with Mother Earth when she ran at Royal Ascot, and which got me off the horse because I had picked her as my top choice. Whenever Aidan O'Brien changes headgear on a horse, or put blinkers on, or put it on the binders, or a shadow roll, that's usually a sign that this may be not so good, because that may be a last chance to see if they can get the horse to do something. Mm-hmm. So with that, I'm going to want to see if there's any headgear change with this horse, and make a note of it, because if that's the case, then they may not think that this horse is at its best, and I will definitely shy away from playing it.
All right, I'm going to shy away from playing it with or without any headgear changes, Thomas. I feel like the horse, I know last time I had a good race against the Baid, great horse. It just seems to me that this horse kind of goes decent race, clunker, decent race, clunker. I'm fearful of a clunker here. So the first two horses, I'm in complete agreement with you. I'm starting off with Pearls Galore as well. It looks to me like this horse is in fantastic form, winning its last two. Both of those two were following a little bit of a rest. Before that, the horse got a little bit of rest. It won. So last 3 times out, Pearls Galore had a little bit of time between races, came back to win. So why not make it 4 in a row? I'm in agreement with you. Does have a run at the Curragh, won that race. Does have 5 at the distance, took 3 of those top prizes home. I like Dr. Zemph as my next choice as well. Another horse that looks like it's in pretty good form. It really seems to like the good surface. Leopardstown last time, 7 furlongs on a good surface, won. Prior to that, Leopardstown, 7 furlongs on a good surface, the prior good surface race. It won. So my only one really bad effort on the good surface, and that was at Newmarket, but only finished 2 lengths off the lead in what looks like a very competitive race against Perfect Power, who is a very good horse. I mean, it's one I know, so it can't be that bad. And then I'm going to throw a little bit of a price in there, Thomas. That is the 2 horse, which right now looks like it's 40-1. Prisoner's Dilemma. Of course, is coming off the bench after a little bit of break, and since it's come off the bench, it's run exceptionally well. 2 times out on a good surface. Last time out, second by a half length. The first time out, won by a half length. And it looks to me like this horse is trending in the right direction. It's been at the distance a couple of times, 4 times with a win in a second. Been at Curragh 4 times with 2 seconds. I feel like there's one in here that's going to surprise and pop. It's going to be this one. So you're going to need a little bit of price on the back end, considering the top 2 picks that I had in there are likely to be your first and second favorites.
With that question, the other thing to note about this race again is Pearls Galore and obviously Order of Australia both have run in the Breeders' Cup. They've either won or placed. Don't be surprised to see Pearls Galore back at the Breeders' Cup come the fall. I would, and probably running at that mile distance again.
We're skipping ahead a couple races for our last one. This is going to be race number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the card. It is the Kilboy Estate Stakes. This one's for 3-year-old fillies. They're going to run a mile and a furlong. So they're going to run a mile and a 16th on that main track there. So where are they going to start this one at, Tom? This is a mile and 2 furlongs. They're going to start like right about here?
Yeah, that's my understanding. Is they'll start it on the Derby course. Yeah,
they start here.
Yeah, that's my understanding. They started on the Derby course. I don't think they're starting on the inner course.
Because I don't see a mile and a 16th hidden in here.
Well, otherwise it'll be up on the flat course. Yeah, back in there. But to be honest, I'm not sure. I don't. Yeah. This is not a distance they run a lot there. So obviously it's not on the chart.
No.
Stating the obvious.
So this one's going to start at about 10:55 a.m. Eastern. They don't put it on the Brisnet sheets either. So I don't know. So it's either, in my opinion, it'll either start here or somewhere about here. And if it starts on the inner course, it'll probably be right in here. So it was going to be either here, here, or here. One of those three.
Well, I'm going to, if I had to pick, I'm going to pick the Platte course as where it's going to start. That would be my opinion.
Yeah, I would think you're probably pretty right on that. So we'll find out. That would be the, maybe we should have a bet on that, Tom, you and I.
Yeah.
You're going to go with the Platte course. I'm going to go with the Derby course is where they start, and we'll see who wins that bet. And I don't know what the winner gets, but we'll find something in there. Yeah, all right, Tom, mile and an eighth. So they're going to run that mile and an eighth, and who do you think is going to win the mile and an eighth? Well, before we do that, what do you think the pace in this race is? It looks to me like this is a pretty even match. I don't have a dead closer in here. I have a couple of horses that want to get to the lead, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 that want to pressure. Then I have 3 that can pressure or close. So every single horse in this race, if it wants to, can be forwardly placed and has shown that they can be competitive that way. So I think the pace setup in this one is going to be really interesting and dictate who wins.
Well, I went with a tight pack with one front runner. And my top choice is going to be number 3, Purple Pay, with the inside draw. 11 starts, 4 wins, 2 seconds, 2 thirds. I mean, she's been running very interestingly this season. She had 2 okay runs, a little average, whatever, and then she wins a Group 2 at Shenty at a mile. Last time out she tried Group 1 company and faced Petite Coco, who she wasn't going to beat, and nobody else did either that day. It's really an interesting race that she's run, because that French race is really a strong race. I mean, because she led, backed up, she was down by as many as 5 lengths, and then she came back and won. If she does that again, she's going to be tough to beat in here. I tossed the Guineas race out. She lost to a very talented horse in Homeless Songs, and I just don't think that. I think she needs a little more distance to make it makes more sense. And let's face it, she's going to race towards the front. She should be there at the end, and she's dropping a little bit from the Group 1. Number 4 is my choice, is the front runner, which is Galleria Borgia. Has draw 8, has 6 starts, 3 wins, and 2 seconds. Last out, made all the running in a listed race at Naz and won by half a length. This is definitely a late developing horse. First 2 starts were in April and May, and frankly, they were not very good. And then comes back 11 days after that May start and wins at a mile at Naz. Since then, it's won, placed twice in handicap. I mean, it's done really well. I mean, overall. But you're not, unlike last time when it went off to at 12-1, you're not going to get that this time.
Well, it looks like those are about the odds right now. So maybe they come down, but maybe you should head over to the book that allows you to pick the fixed odds.
I think they're going to come down, personally. I think the horse, it's going up a little bit in class, and there's some decent horses in here. But if it can if it does what it did last time out and set a nice moderate pace, that horse is going to be right there at the end, and they're going to be trying to catch it. I took number 6, 1 for Bobby with draw 6 is my final choice. Has 3 starts and 2 wins. I tossed the last. It was really unimpressive. Never on even terms in that entire race, and it was just not good. So whatever happened, it was nothing was positive, because the first 2 starts, it was at Golden Park. It was at a similar distance, and it was good. They were both winners. And, again, this is one that's a late developer. She's, may have needed to run a clunker. Sometimes it happens, and she did it last time. I think the distance suits. I think if she can go back to her previous form, she's going to be right there.
I agree. She'll be right there, but I don't have her as my first pick. I do agree with you, though, Tom. We both have the same 3 horses, just in a little bit different order. I have the 4 horse as my top choice here. I do think it's going to be the pace setter in this race, Tom, unquestionably. And it just looks to me, minus the couple of first 2 races after that, whatever they did, the horse has found its form, and it has been extremely competitive on a good track the last 2 times out. I don't think the distance is going to be a problem at all for the horse, coming off 1.25 miles in the last race. So actually cutting back a little bit, going to be helpful. I do have Purple Pay, the 3 horse, as my second choice. Purple Pay is another horse that's run fairly well recently. I don't like the little bit of regression last time out, but when you dig down and you look at the races on a good track, minus the Curragh to start this campaign, it's run very well on a good surface. So I'm expecting a little bit of rebound in here. Doesn't run at the Curragh twice, doesn't have anything to show for it, but has been at the distance once and won that race. And quite frankly, outside of the top pick, I figure for me anyway, it's a scramble. You can take pretty much anything you want after that, and there's really make a case for a lot of them after that. So I like number 2 as my third choice, which is Rumbles of Thunder. It's 3-1 here, the best price. So it's coming down because I think it's morning line. It opened up at 7-1. So a lot of folks are backing that horse, making its second start off a layoff. And if you look last time out, the horse came out, kind of struggled in its first start after a layoff, found its form in the next race and won. So I think you could see a repeat. The horse is a bit of an all or nothing horse, out 10 times, won 4 of those with a shaky third in there. That third being last time out by 4 3/4 lengths. So a well-beaten third. And then my final pick, like for you, Tom, I agree with you on one for Bobby. The first 2 races were really nice. And if it had run a decent race last time out, I think if it had won or maybe finished second last time out, it might be the favorite in this spot. So if it can revert back to that first 2 race form, one of which was on the good surface at 1 3/16 miles, I think this horse has a good shot to bounce back up. And if you get 11-1 and it reverts back to its form, you're going to feel like you stole from people on that day.
Well, I think overall this race is a good betting race because I don't see any clear favorite. I think, I would be surprised if you get less a 2-1 shot in here. I think they're going to be higher. So if you can figure it out, I think there's a few bucks to be made in that race.
Absolutely. Well, I will post all of our picks, the summary of the picks in the comments over at horseracingtoday.net a little bit later on today. So make sure if you want to see what Tom and I think, or you just want to have a handy dandy reference, horse racing.
Or you need a good laugh.
Well, every now and then you can do it. Before you go to sleep, it's good to get a good laugh, they say. It helps you wake up.
I gave the winner of the Perry Longchamp race out yesterday, the big race, the one Grand Prix, the Perry Onesta, looked very good in that race. Very impressive.
What was its odds?
It was the favorite. It was
the favorite.
It was, I think, 2-1. I think finally went off at. Obviously, one to consider for the arc going forward. It was at 1.5 miles. It looked very impressive. It's one of those poser types and very well bred Frankel colt, and good to look at that, and we'll see.
All right, and then a good race to look at too today, a little bit later on, is going to be at Gulfstream Park. Our Terry has his best bet of the best race of the day. That is Gulfstream Park, race number 4. Number 1, he likes Jazzy. He also likes Journey to the Moon as a second choice, and then Caronville as the third pick. You can always get Terry's best bet of the day over at horseracingtoday.net. Don't forget to check out Picks with the Professor if you like to do a little bit of Major League Baseball action. Anything else, Tom? I think we covered everything we were supposed to cover today. Did I miss anything?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that Saratoga race. I think that's maybe the race of the weekend. I think that's just ultra competitive, and And what'll happen, of course, is probably the longest shot on the board will win or something like that.
The German horse that neither one of us talked about, and that we missed so badly is.
Well, and it's also interesting that the breeding on all those horses is not U.S. They're all France, Germany,
except for the favorite Bleeker's from Kentucky.
Except for the favorite Bleecker Street.
So next week you're not here, right?
No, I'm going to be on vacation.
So Tom and I will not have our Foreign Friday next week.
No. But
we'll return, and when we return, what do we return to?
Oh, we're going to be hopefully covering a few days because it's Glorious Goodwood time.
Yes, we'll be covering those days just like we do with
Thursday, and there's some very good races there. So competitive and something well worth a close study and make a couple decent sized fields and see what you get.
So next week we're off. We'll be back for the Glorious Goodwood a couple of days when Tom returns from vacation. Tom, we hope that you have a fun vacation. We also hope that no matter where you're playing this weekend, Saratoga, Curragh, anywhere around the planet, that Tom's vacation and all your horse racing picks, so no matter what you do, Thomas, that they end up in
winner's circle.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. Have a fantastic weekend. Terry and I will see you Monday for Parks Racing.